Round and round we go down the losing hole. Where we stop, nobody knows. Will it be next week against New York? Maybe, maybe not. Today's matchup against division rivals Dallas was an up-and-down affair, mostly down, that all led to the final drive, but it didn't really feel that close, at least for most of the game. There were some good things, but mostly continuations of the bad things from last week against Pittsburgh. We're going to talk you through it next on the Hog's Tie. Don't you go away.
Welcome to the Hog's Tie with your crew, Alex Zeese, Steve Thomas, and Robbie Duncan. And now, here's your host, Sean Conti.
And we're back. Pleased to have you here with us, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Sean Conti. So happy to be here, even though it's kind of a downer day. Wouldn't you say that's true, Steve Thomas?
Yeah, it is a downer day. I'm glad to be back for another show. Not so glad to witness what I just witnessed. A real bummer. I'll just say that I had to, because Fox is dumb enough to not put the Redskins-Dallas game on as the national game, I was forced to go to a sports bar to watch this game. And being as how I'm in Texas, you can guess the composition of the patrons at said sports bar, which was 99% Dallas fans and me and one other Redskin fan. So that just made it all the more unpleasant.
I can imagine. How you holding up, Alex?
Well, I'll say this. After the game, I went online and did a search for quarterbacks in the draft. So,
damn, man.
That's all I'm doing right now.
Well, I think that's probably got to be one of the top things on our list is to talk about Kirk Cousins today, because it wasn't a good performance, and my goodness, it wasn't a good performance last week either. So, right. I mean, I would imagine that's kind of one of the top things on your guys' mind. It's certainly one of the top on mine.
Yeah, okay. Well, Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, that's definitely got to go up there.
Kirk Cousins, 28 of 46, 364 yards, one touchdown, one soul-crushing interception.
Lots of yardage.
Yeah, I counted, as I do all my, in-game stats and everything, as I normally do. I couldn't do it last week. I counted 9 bad passes by Kirk. Now, that's just my unofficial looking at it. Was it a good pass, bad pass?
Yeah.
And at least one of those was a completion. The Dachshund play in the fourth quarter, I counted that as a bad pass. It was greatly underthrown. If it had been a good ball, it would have been an easy touchdown. I think, we have a return to bad Kirk for the second week in a row. He threw a bunch of bad passes, had some misreads. It does not.
He overthrew a lot of receivers. I wouldn't say last week. I mean, maybe you guys can agree or disagree. Last week it seemed like he was missing wide open receivers. This week it seemed like he was just making bad throws. Like he was seeing the right throws, but he could not throw accurately to save his life today.
Especially in the first half, he was throwing nervous and throwing balls with very little, confidence in them. You could tell the balls were just kind of like getting lobbed out because he needed to get the ball out, and he knew it.
Making guys lay out for him.
Yeah. I mean, you look at that Garcon missed touchdown. There was a third down early on that was very similar where he's just kind of putting it, not even quite in the vicinity, and these receivers are having to try and run back and get it. Yeah. And diving for the balls, and it's still 2 feet too short.
Yeah, we're going to have to see the film, the all-22 film on him, because he wasn't dry.
Right,
he doesn't,
right.
Jake Gruden had a different game plan, if you guys didn't notice. I mean, his game plan this time, he did have, at least until the end of the game, had a better run-pass balance. He had Cousins, we did some West Coast offense stuff, but he had a bunch of downfield reads this time they didn't have against Pittsburgh. But on those reads, Cousins didn't really drive the ball very well. And there was a lot of air on a lot of those passes. He missed long, he missed short. Jordan.
Yeah, think about him overthrowing Deshaun on that one play. My goodness, by like
jogging, it looked like.
Yeah. I mean, let's not jump ahead too much. Sorry to interrupt you, Steve, but the very last play of the game, he threw that ball out of the end zone. I mean, he didn't even give anybody a chance to catch it.
Yeah, I know. I mean, who knows if it had been thrown in the end zone? Who knows what would have happened? I mean, a low percentage pass.
Exactly.
Jordan Reed bailed him out.
Exactly.
On a bad throw once. It happened a couple other times. It was. I don't know what to say. I mean, other than it just. Kirk has had a rough start to the season. I think we're going to see the fans, start in on him again. The Colt may show up. The Team Griffin guys are going to go crazy. It's
Right.
Oh, they're already going
sure.
crazy. I was seeing that on Twitter right away.
Oh yeah, just after the Pittsburgh game,
Yeah.
they
You
reared
know
their
who
ugly
the Griffin
heads.
guys are by now because they're kind of the worst on Twitter.
It's like,
And
guys.
they've just been going
I
nuts.
love Griffin too. I still think he could be a good quarterback if he get over his injuries, but it's really time to let that go. It's time to root for your team. You can't root for Cousins to fail because you liked Robert Griffin and consider yourself a Redskins fan. I'm sorry. If you're doing that, you're not a fan.
Those people will never let it go.
Yeah.
Until everybody who's been with the team in 2012 is gone and dead and buried, they will not let it go.
Well, let's forget they even exist and not even give them a platform in life. My question to you guys is this: if it continues this way, how many more weeks of Kirk playing this way do you think before it? Because right now, I don't think it's a serious question. I don't think we should bench him right now. But how much longer? How long is his leash?
14 games. There's no way.
Hey, you think
I
so?
think
Yeah,
Jay
yeah,
Gruden has hitched his wagon to Kirk Cousins for better or for worse. I think there's zero chance he's going to replace him for performance issues. I think Cousins could look like John Beck out there, and he's not going to get replaced. Period. That's what at least this year. That's what I think.
I don't know about that, man. No coach operates that way. At a certain point, you have to.
I think Jay Gruden has made his choice, man. Maybe I'm wrong. It's just my opinion. I think.
No, I hear what you're saying.
Think it's Cousins. No
I hear
matter
you.
what this year? That's what I think.
You could be right, and maybe that's not a bad thing.
I mean,
maybe that's not bad.
Maybe if this team is 0-6, he makes that call early because, at that point, you're
see,
just
that's what I'm
trying
saying.
to figure out the future.
Well, let me tell you
Exactly. 0-6 is a different world, man.
This is going to be a really tough year because the second half of our, schedule is just horrific. Far worse.
We'll do the Redskins thing, though. We'll win a bunch of games there,
and then we'll go into
we'll lose all these
Arizona
ones.
and beat them.
Yeah. You know what we'll do. But yeah, I don't know. Final words on Kirk. I mean, yeah, I just feel like he didn't look good. He was all over the place. He overthrew people. He underthrew people. Just not a good look. Obviously, he's the guy. I don't think Colt McCoy or anybody else is any better than he is. But not a good look at all.
Roster,
I'll give you
No, and I think, just to your point, to your whole contract thing, Steve. I mean, it's pretty goddamn good we didn't give him one. I think that's for
everybody
sure.
laughed at me for saying that, but that's what I think.
No, I said we shouldn't. I think you're right.
Sean was
there. We
with
go.
me. I'll just since I kept track of it, I'll give you guys a breakdown. First quarter, he was 4 for 5, 66 yards. Second quarter at halftime, he was 11 for 18 for 131 yards. At the third quarter, 19 for 30. And at the end of the game, as I said, 364 yards. He had an 84 rating, a quarterback rating of 84.0, which in today's world isn't good.
Yeah.
And if you substitute touchdown for the interception, that right there would have boosted the quarterback rating up significantly.
Pops right up. For sure.
Let's just talk about the interception. Seeing it live. Because I was in the horrible Dallas Cowboy sports bar, I couldn't hear what the announcers were saying because for some reason they had the Pittsburgh Chiefs game audio on, which just seemed mind-boggling to me. But just looking at it,
you're in Texas, they're weird.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Just looking at it without the benefit of the announcers, it looked to me like Kirk made a bad read and just didn't see the linebacker underneath.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
I mean, there was no one else open at all. Also, let's talk about the red zone in general.
Terrible.
Can we stop calling fade passes?
No kidding.
I know it's like an automatic thing.
It's like, what did we try?
Right.
5 of them, and none of them were even close. To being completely.
We tried 2 in a row. Then I think we tried at least 2 others. Oh no, 3 others because we tried 2 more to Doxson and then 1 to Reed. Right?
Yeah, I think I tweeted that out.
Sounds right.
In our live tweeting.
Yeah.
That it was just like we're just determined to get a touchdown on a fade pattern. And just can't do it.
Right. We called 5 fades within the 5-yard line, and I don't think we called a single running attempt.
No.
To get a touchdown.
Well, this is the same problem we had last year, if everybody remembers. Mm-hmm. The red zone has just been killing this team.
Because we don't run the ball.
For whatever reason we can't seal the deal. We can't put points up. We move the ball and then stall.
If you're gonna play in the red zone, you have to be able to run the ball. It's that simple.
Yeah, I mean, well, actually, maybe that's a good thing to talk about right now because somebody had a slightly better day than they did previously. Matt Jones looked a little better today than he has previously. He had a couple good runs. I'm not saying this vastly improved or changed the outlook for our running game, but he looked better today.
No, 13 for 61, which is a very average performance in the NFL, but for Matt Jones, that's great.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. He looked better than he did last week.
This was Matt Jones' best performance since the second game of last year. That's a 4.7 yards per carry average, which is way above and beyond what he's ever done. He can't help the fact that, he only got 13 carries again.
Sure. He looked good.
And he kind of got better as the game went on. He was 3 of 9 in the first quarter, 8 for 43 at halftime. Anyway, and 11 for 55 in the third quarter. It was a strong performance by Matt Jones. You got to give him credit. Credit where credit's due.
Definitely.
But in terms of overall yardage, it's not like he imposed his will or anything. I mean, 61 is an average game for a splitting the carries kind of.
And Jay Gruden just can't help himself. This was a better run pass balance than last week. But that's not to say it was.
He's no running machine.
But the thing is, he says he wants to be a running machine, but he just can't.
He gives no indication of doing it, though.
Yeah.
Well, if for a guy like him to do it, he has to have a lead, and he's not had a lead all season. So I'm not surprised by that.
Yeah, well, this is a good. Okay, so I wanted to ask you guys something about Jay Gruden. We got to talk more about obviously the other players on offense and talk about defense too. But Jay Gruden-wise, go back to 31 seconds left on the clock before the halftime. It's 4th and 1. He opts to take the field goal. It's a defensible move. It makes complete football sense. So. But let me tell you something. A touchdown there wins the game. Sometimes, what did Wayne Gretzky say? You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Sometimes you got to take a fucking shot, Jay. And unfortunately, I just feel, I don't know. It's a completely defensible move. I'm not saying he's, a bonehead or anything. But take a shot and
you know what?
Try, man.
I'm one of the more conservative guys you two probably know, I'm sure. And even to me, Jay Gruden is a conservative dude.
Thank you very much.
He is, in terms of, I'm not talking politics, I'm just kidding, but I mean, in terms of his play calling, there was not a more conservative coach than Jay Gruden in pro football.
Thank you very much. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, there are definitely some conservative coaches out there. We just don't talk about them because we don't pay attention to them. But
but this team is not going to win opting for the field goal 3 out of 4 times a game. If this team's going to win, they need to take a fucking shot and make it.
And Jay just is not going to do that. Considering
that
he's amazingly conservative for being a passing coach. That's what's most mind-boggling. He loves the pass. He's not going to stop passing no matter what. But he's a very conservative play caller. He's going to call 30, short square out patterns to the sideline. It's amazing. I know it's the offense. He did take a lot more shots downfield. I tried to count downfield passing shots. I counted 8,
that sounds about right.
And I think I didn't count the Hail Mary, so I left that one out. It may have been a couple more than that. Let's call it 9 or 10 because I lost track of my stats in the last drive.
D-Jack's got some, Crowder got some, Doxson got one. And I'd also like
to point out that the majority of those bad passes were on the downfield shots.
Right.
Exactly. He looked terrible on those.
I mean, that's the real thing is we took the shots, but we only made one, really, and that's the one to the rookie, Doxson.
And that was a bad pass.
Yeah.
That counted as a bad pass because, Doxson had about 3 steps on the DB,
he had to turn around for it.
A quarterback that is a better deep ball thrower would have laid it out in front of him in stride. You give that throw to Tom Brady, easy touchdown, for example.
Yeah,
and for all those of you who used to compare Kirk Cousins to Tom Brady, today's game is Exhibit A, just saying. A better.
Yeah, Tom Brady can do the deep ball as well as the short pass.
Although, just incidentally, did you guys see that Jimmy Garoppolo hurt his shoulder today? And
yep.
So they're down to some
dislocated it or
they're
something.
They're down to some dude as their quarterback now.
I've never heard this guy's name before. I can't even remember.
And the entire world, except the people in Boston, laugh at New England.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw that he played at some school in the Carolinas. That's about it. I don't think he went to your school, but.
Oh, boo. Yeah. Well, we got to talk about Mr. Coastal Carolina, by the way. But who else do we miss on offense that we need to give shout-outs to?
Chris Thompson.
Chris Thompson, definitely. He had a nice little, he pulled it out there on the final drive. That was a nice little drive.
Yeah, he was wide open.
Drive-winning play
you guys
there.
Noticed, the
If
reason
they had won.
Well, the reason
Well,
why
I mean,
he was
drive-
so open underneath.
drive
is that
continuing.
Cowboys were dropping like 3 DBs way deep, and so
No, he still darted between three
It was
motherfuckers,
great-
though. It was
a great
pretty
play
cool.
by Doxson.
Yeah.
No, it was, and then he had that great pass block
Thompson.
Earlier in the game where he came across the quarterback's face
Mm-hmm.
to block the blitz.
Yeah, see, he plays with some fire.
Here's some receiving stats for you, and I have a comment. That'll become obvious once you hear these. Jordan Reed, 5 receptions, 70 yards. Vernon Davis, 5 receptions, 51 yards. Jameson Crowder, 6 for 39. Chris Thompson, 3 for 57. Deshaun Jackson, 3 for 40, including a whole bunch of, bad passes by Kirk to Deshaun. Pierre Garçon, 2 for 25. Niles Paul had 1 great reception. Ryan Grant, 1 for 5. Matt Jones had 1 for 4. Listen, there were 10 receptions between the two tight ends, or 11, counting Niles Paul. I would postulate for everybody, put out there for you guys' consideration. I think Kirk Cousins has become too reliant on Jordan Reed.
No, who would disagree with that?
I mean,
No one would disagree.
He tried to force the ball to Jordan to Reed at least once, maybe twice today.
Yeah.
I think that safety valve has almost become too much of a safety valve for him.
I would even go further. Kurt is a slot ball thrower. He likes these guys who are not on the edges. He likes to throw it to guys who are in the middle of the field, be it your Jordan Reed, Jamison Crowder, Vernon Davis in today's game, because they're lining up closer to him. It's a quicker pass for him.
Yeah.
That's what he likes to throw.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. It certainly seems to be his tendency.
I would like to.
And this is why I've always wondered why spending all this money on guys like Jackson and Garçon who are on the edges when we don't get them the ball enough.
Well,
Yeah.
and we know that he's not good from
Well-
downfield, like a deep post, a deep out and
Right.
up, fly pattern. That's just not Kirk's strength.
Right.
And yet, I do think, I think you bring. I was thinking about this on the way home from this game. We do have a bunch of receivers who are good downfield, but the system isn't really a downfield system. Right?
Yeah,
and so
exactly.
it seems in some respects to be a little bit mixed up in terms of personnel, perhaps. I mean, you can't blame the team for Ajax, because he's an elite talent, but we don't use him very well.
No. We're not. I'm not blaming them necessarily. I'm saying the system, like you said. I'm saying Kirk. Kirk isn't designed as far as his quarterback play. He doesn't play those types of receivers very well.
Did you guys see that Deshaun ran a square in today for a reception? His first ball was a square in out of, I think it was either the slot or the left edge. I can't remember. But it's
The one where he had that really weird catch and he was running with the ball like down by his hip in one
it was
hand.
his first. It was his first ball, but that was a square
Okay.
in, which
Yeah.
puts you directly over the middle, right into the linebacker zone, and you never see Deshaun do that. Not very often, at least. It's
Probably for good reason.
because he's like 180. That's why.
At least one point, though, today, even the announcers called out that he had drawn all the attention away. I think it was on that big play to Doxson because everybody was following
Right.
Djax. That's why Doxson was open. So there obviously are some benefits. But yeah,
Well, you saw
I
that
think
play.
you're totally
it
right.
It wasn't even a play call that left Doxson open. It was during the play, the safety and the corner both drifted away from Doxson and over to Jackson.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
There were
Exactly.
3 guys at one
Which
point
is gonna
trying to
happen.
cover Jackson.
Yeah.
Which that's gonna sometimes happen probably with a guy like that. So there is, it's nice to have all the weapons.
And the other thing about the
It
receivers is that since we're talking about this, I'm beginning to think that Pierre Garçon is perennially underused around here because this guy's a talent. I'm not saying he's AJ Green. He's not at that level, but he's probably a B+ level wide receiver in the NFL. He had 2 catches for 25 yards, and I can't remember what he had last week off the top of my head, but it wasn't much better.
Right.
It's like now that we have Jordan Reed, Pierre's kind of the forgotten man, but he can do a lot. He plays with strength. He can get open. He's
like our 4th tight end is what
kind
he
of,
is. Or 5th tight end.
in some respects. So.
No, it's a point well made. Do we have to talk about anybody on the line that's worthy of mention in memory of Robbie here?
The fact that I think we need to swap out our center and put Spencer Long in.
Yeah, I think we need.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair thing.
2 games, I think our centers had 3 false starts.
Yeah.
A center should have 0 false starts. I mean,
Yeah.
he's the center. He snaps the ball.
Yeah.
Wait, that's what happened on the very final drive, right, with the 10-second runoff? That
Yep.
was that him? Yep,
Yeah, yeah.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, you can't be doing that,
Yeah,
dude.
we need
Cannot
Robbie's
be doing that.
expertise for the O-line, but I will say that some of the pressure on Kirk came right up the middle again.
Yeah.
Know,
Well,
they
yeah,
weren't in
there
his
you go.
face the entire game. We had a clean pocket in some of those throws, but pressure. Like there was one play where the edge ran a stunt inside. Goes right over Lichty.
If you watch our best quarter, which was probably the third quarter, Kirk was clean
Right.
most of that quarter.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm with you.
That was like a reverse Redskins game where we came out in the second half and actually looked much better. And,
Right.
like we had actually learned how to make an adjustment. All right, well, maybe we should talk about a little defense then now. And if we're going to start, we started on offense talking about Mr. Headliner, Kirk Cousins. Maybe we should talk about Mr. Headliner, Josh Norman, who I thought had a pretty great game. Mr. Coastal Carolina, good stuff. I thought anybody who hated on that acquisition, I think, he had a really good game today. Maybe
Well,
they
I'm
feel
found
maybe they feel a
fascinating is
little
he
better.
Apparently, he can move to the right side of the field. I didn't know that. I thought there was a trench in between him and Bashad Breeland, and one couldn't go over to the other.
Hashtag free Norman. Get your shirts at thehogsdive.com.
Yeah, number one, the Know Nothing Cowboy fans who was cursed with having to watch this game with, the first Des Bryant catch, that was the long post, over the middle. They instantly started screaming, about Norman to shut up and this and that. People,
Right,
okay,
of
they were
course.
in a cover 3 zone. Just to educate the Cowboy turd fans out there, when a cover 3 zone is played, that means the deep middle of the field belongs to the safety. What happened was Norman passed Dez off to the safety, and our friend D. Hall did not make the play. That is what happened.
Right.
There you go. There you go.
And
in
it wasn't
defense
just
of my
Hall.
man.
It was, usually you have a linebacker dropped in there somewhere too, and there was nobody back there.
That one was not
Empty
on
pocket.
Norman. Unless somebody proves to
No.
me on the all 22 later in the week, live, that looked pretty clearly to be on the safety to me.
It was.
Yeah.
You're absolutely
I
right.
think. Go ahead.
Good.
Yeah.
No, he had a couple other good plays in there. He had a nice, I think he forced a fumble, or at least one, right? And then he had a nice, he had a couple, sweet, he had one really cool athletic arm tackle that was awesome. But yeah, no, he had a much better game. I mean, I think
game
a lot
last
less
week.
hate will come to him this
He had
week.
a good game last week
Yeah.
too. He didn't give up any balls. I mean, it wasn't his fault.
It was the scheme,
Yeah.
No, it was the scheme.
And
I agree.
I don't think Joe Barry does a good job of disguising coverages.
I don't think Joe Barry does a good job of much of anything these days.
Not really.
No,
But
there you go.
if a dummy like me can look at it and go, okay, cover 3, easy look, boom. What, 85% of the time? That's not good
Right.
because, pros are much better at it, obviously, than any of us will ever be. And if I can do it, that means they know about it. And there were only one or two plays. Sorry to interrupt, Alex. If there were only one or two plays where they had to disguise, they tried to disguise coverage, and they moved out of it at the last minute and moved into like a cover 2 look. I think that happened one time. It's for the most part, it's the same base defense every time.
It is. And you want to know another thing that kind of makes me worried about this whole defense? I saw a lot of times they were getting to the line of scrimmage, and you still had the entire defensive line looking back, looking at the linebackers, being like, what are we supposed to do?
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
giving that kind of shrugging the shoulders, waving their arms, trying to figure out what they're doing, and the ball's about to be snapped.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not good for Barry. That's not good for Will Compton. And I'm a big Will Compton fan, but he's the guy on the field who's supposed to be the field general right now.
Well, and of course, he was out in the second half there, and, Garvin
true.
came in.
Yeah, he did get hurt.
Yeah. I don't know the stat. Right here now, I don't know the status of the injuries. It was Chris Baker went out with, was it ribs, I believe. He came back in. Will Compton.
Yeah, but he came back in.
Will Compton was out with a hammy, did not come back in. So we're standing here right now. As we record, we do not.
Goldston, do we know what happened? Did Goldston ever come back in, do you think? Did anyone see him back in? I thought he was on the sideline.
Yeah, I didn't notice if he came back in
Couldn't
or not.
tell.
And as I tweeted, someone, tweeted at us and said, oh, no, we're screwed because Golston's out. If we're screwed because Golston's out, we're screwed for a whole lot of other reasons. Okay. Let me just say that.
Yeah.
Both of you are right in that situation, Steve. I hate to say it, but you're right, and that person is right.
It's like if we're relying on Kedrick Cole. I love Kedrick Colson. He's the old man. You know, he's been here forever. But dear God, you know, if he's going to cause our D line to crumble, we're up a serious creek. You know.
Yeah. Speaking of other players on the D line, Kerrigan had a couple sacks today in this
He had a
game.
Trent Murphy sighting.
Well, I think Trent Murphy had 1.5 sacks, I think.
Hey-o.
Yeah. Which
Trent Murphy sighting. Just off the starboard bow.
Yeah, I think it's halfway to his season average total.
Well, not only did Trent Murphy have 1.5 sacks, but at least one of those came right over Tyron Smith, who's one of the best left tackles in the game. So kudos to Trent Murphy, you know, for having a good game for him. You know, he had 3. He got credited with 3 quarterback hits. I counted 8 hits on Prescott in this game.
Yeah.
You know, and again, that's, you know, these are not official stats, people. It's just me trying to keep track of it during the game. But that's about ballpark where we were, and 3 of those were Trent. So Trent had a pretty.
Where were we ballpark?
8. I counted.
Where were we ballpark last week against
I was not able to
Roethlisberger?
keep all a bunch of stats last week because because of the logistics of the game on the Monday night, I couldn't do it. So.
Slacking.
Well,
I pulled
You're
up the
fired.
NFL stats. I'm surprised who led us in tackles. Bashad Breeland.
well, yeah, Breeland Foster and Compton were all credited with 10, but Breeland had 9 solo.
Yeah. I'm
There you go.
surprised by that. That Breeland
Silencing the critics.
Well,
I don't know about that.
Let's not go that far.
Because they see an easy punching bag.
Well,
there.
okay, but part of that is some of those tackles were because he let the receiver catch the ball. Okay, let's just say that.
True.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's kind of a.
But I did see him come up and run support a few times. So it's not all that.
No, it's not all. That.
Yeah, so he drew a penalty today, right at the goal line, but it was really a make the tackle or it's going to be a touchdown situation. So I think that was actually a planned.
On that one, personally.
Really?
So.
Well, it was close.
It
It was close.
close, but I agree with you. That's the I'm falling. I might as well just tackle the guy kind of play.
Yeah. I looked at that. I don't give him any guff for that play.
And I just, by the way,
If you wanted-
I'd like to say that the Josh Norman, you know, was the hands to the face penalty. How bogus was that? Was that call?
It was a little love tap to the cheek, is all that was.
That was
ticky-tack.
ridiculous. I thought that was ticky tack. I thought the
There
roughing.
were a couple
I
penalties
thought the
like
roughing
that.
the passer call, you know, on Prescott was ticky tacky. You know.
Yeah.
What about when who was it? Davis got called for a false start when you could clearly see the defensive end, like what his entire half of his body was over the line of scrimmage.
It's BS. It's a BS call.
Yeah.
What can you say? Let's talk running, rush.
But we lost. Let's not argue penalties.
Yeah, well,
No, this one at least I don't feel like we got screwed by
I have a
penalties
penalty
in
point
this
to
one
make.
at
But we'll
least.
save that till after we do the defense. Rushing,
All right.
Ezekiel Elliott, 21 carries, 83 yards, 4.0 average. You know, people, if
Got
you
his
guys,
first touchdown.
if you guys remember this, that last week he averaged 2.6 yards per carry against a somewhat poor Giants defense. You know, we made a bad running back look like an average running back today. He averaged 4 yards a carry. You know, in a lot of those, you know,
Bad running back. It's his second game.
yeah.
Jeez.
Well, he was bad last
I
week.
hate the guy for being a cowboy, but at the same
He
time.
was bad last week. He looked really bad.
He was.
He was bad.
No, I agree. He did not look
A lot of
good.
the
2 fumbles.
Yeah.
Trust me, I know.
a lot of those carries came straight up the A gap.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
and he was a guy. He's a guy who he got better as the game went on. You know, he was.
Yeah, because I was going to say early on we were stuffing him behind the line of scrimmage.
Well,
a
at
lot.
halftime he was 12 carries, 44 yards, which is 3.7 yards per carry, and by the end it had worked up to 4 yards per carry. You know, and then we get to Alfred Morris.
Hitting that home run right at our end zone.
That really did hurt.
How painful was it to
Dickhead.
see this game end on a Kirk Cousin bad interception in the end zone, followed by an Alfred Morris touchdown.
Now, see, I said that last week, and you downplayed it, man.
I did?
And now you're feeling my pain.
Did I downplay it?
Yeah, you were like, oh, it doesn't matter. We don't need to
think I was just
think
trying to be
about
positive.
Alfred Morris.
It definitely hurt.
It really hurt.
definitely
Oh,
hurt.
God. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I hate seeing
You
that
know, and
home
again,
run,
you
man.
know, with the stupid Cowboy fans, the reasonable guy, the guy that sat next to me is a pretty reasonable guy, and he really didn't have any idea how much Alfred Morris means to Redskins fans. He was like,
Yeah.
hey, I'm glad we have him, and that was kind of it. I don't know if anybody outside of DC understands the pain Redskins feel seeing Alfred Morris of all people in Dallas in a Dallas uniform.
Well,
I agree.
This might be overstating it, but imagine if you're a Bulls fan after you saw Michael Jordan go to the Wizards. It's kind of like that. You see somebody you really love who was kind of the identity of your team for a little while, and he's in another uniform. That's not right. But then it's worse because it's the Cowboys and everything's worse.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously Jordan. Alfred Morris isn't Michael. One of the greatest players ever, like Jordan is. But yeah, I mean, your point is valid. I'm sure it was very painful to Bulls fans to see Jordan in a Wizards uniform. Very painful to see a guy who was the heart and soul of our team in many respects score the winning touchdown against us at home and then do the his home run celebration thing. That very painful. Mm-hmm. That was one that may go down as one of the the bad highlights of the season.
Low light. It's called a
low life. Yeah, a low light. That may be one of the lowlights of the season.
Put that on the low light reel.
Yeah, let's not and say we did.
No, it was not fun. One thing I got to bring up about the defense that I wrote down in my notes throughout the game, I'm done with David Bruton and ready to see Dookie and Nacho get in there more because Bruton was missing his coverages a lot. A lot of those easy rollout passes, Bruton was always biting on them.
Yeah.
I'm just ready.
Let me
for
tell you something
Duke.
about this because you brought up a good point. Excuse me. What Dallas, the play action was killing us. The entire game, the play action was killing us. And what Dallas did is they set it up perfectly several times. They'd run the ball, straight up the A gap, the B gap with Elliott, and then the very next play, fake handoff, Prescott rollout, pass into the flats. Good game. They killed us with the play action, and our guys bit it. It seemed like every single time. I thought it was. I hate to give Dallas any credit, but it was a good. I don't know what they saw, what cues they saw to know that would work. But I don't know. I mean, we're not coaches and we're not experts, but the play action killed us on defense. I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Now, the other thing, let's get to penalties. I counted 10 penalties.
Yeah, sure.
I may have missed one in the beginning of the game because, again, I had no sound. I was having to listen to Pittsburgh Chiefs. But it's 10, it's either 9, 10, or 11. I counted 10. This team cannot be a good team if they do not become a more disciplined team. Let's just say it as simply and as bluntly as we can. This will never be a good team if they do not become more disciplined. Yeah. Some of these policies,
and that's a continuation of this goes back years through multiple administrations. It makes no sense.
Some of them are just ridiculous penalties.
By the way, Steve, according to the official stats, it's eight penalties.
Okay. Then I missed one somewhere. So I missed one I didn't count. But okay, 8. But it's just it's undisciplined football. It's just no other two ways to say it. It's undisciplined football.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think anyone's going to disagree with you. The penalties are a problem.
And they've been a problem.
They were a problem in the offseason, and it's just continued.
I think I counted one as a penalty that they declined, so that's one. And then obviously I blew one somewhere. So that's the 8 as opposed to 10. It could be. So.
Yeah.
And special teams is doing its job when you don't have anything major to bring up about it. Crowder had a nice 25-yard return at one point.
I was going to say, actually, special teams is the only place I saw a net positive for our offense.
You got to hand it.
There you go.
We almost got burned on that fake kickoff.
Well, we were lucky that ball didn't go 10 yards.
Yeah. By the way,
the onside,
don't get rid of the kickoff, NFL, because those things still happen, and that makes it interesting.
Now,
see, and I want to say, by the way, can I just say, that's the kind of thing Jay Gruden would never do.
No.
Jay Gruden's never going to do something like that. Never in his life is he going to do something like that.
First off, we've had historically one of the worst special teams units in the history of the NFL.
I completely understand, but you got to take the shots, man. A team like this has to take the fucking shots.
Yeah, did the announcers say on the audio that Dallas would have recovered that ball on the onside kick?
No, they didn't say that because it was such a pathetic attempt.
Yeah, okay, so
that they,
I couldn't tell.
They didn't even bring it up.
I couldn't tell and I couldn't hear,
Yeah.
I mean, if Dallas is guy had just noticed, oh, I'm still at 8 yards, not 10, and waited 2 more seconds, he would have gotten it.
No, maybe, yeah. It's kind of hard to tell. It's tough. It was a bad kick.
It was.
Didn't have any chance.
No.
All right, well, what else?
If I'm wrong in thinking that was resulted in a field goal, correct? Not a touchdown. It was that.
Yeah, that was
a field goal.
Yeah,
so,
there you go.
We get the ball
leaving points on the board.
roughly the 40-yard line, and you don't get 7 points out of it.
Can't seal the deal.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm glad you got points. That's better than historically we've done. But
I'm done with field goals. I mean, it's time for this team to start scoring more touchdowns. It's 2 games in a row in the 2016 season, and it happened over and over and over and over again in 2015. The red zone.
They don't capitalize.
Closing the deal in the red zone has been a problem almost since Jay Gruden has been here.
And you know what? To that point, play of the game today, Mr. Crowder. That was an awesome throw and catch.
Yeah.
He was moving at about 90 miles an hour when he caught that at the very end of the end zone. Smashed into the wall there. Did you see that?
Yeah.
He's going to break his own spine in half. But no, that was the play of the game.
I'd like to give.
Steve,
Go ahead.
I would just say we haven't been good in the red zone for 15 years.
Yeah.
It's pre-Gruden. This goes back to, the Schottenheimer era.
Correct. We haven't been good, period, for 15 years, with the exception of a year or two. On the Crowder play, that was also a tremendous throw by Kirk.
That was a rare good shot.
He had pressure right in his face, right up the middle.
He put it in a perfect window.
Yeah, he did.
Yep.
He tries to force the ball a lot, and it didn't work a lot today. But that play, he forced it, and it worked. So credit to Kirk for that play for sure.
Absolutely. So, anything else we want to bring up about this incredibly depressing and thoroughly disheartening game today?
Did it seem like a lot of Dallas fans cheering on TV?
It sounded like it was pretty bad.
Yeah.
And last week was bad too, man.
Yeah. Well, it's always going to be bad.
I guess. Two home games to open the season, though. You'd imagine there's a lot of hype on paper about the team. You'd imagine. You'd really imagine.
One random thought: Cole Beasley, I hate you. I hope you die. Cole Beasley, is just a
harsh.
Well, I don't hope he dies, but it's just frustrating. Okay, I don't hope he dies.
You don't hope for his death.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I just hope for him to be viciously maimed.
There you go.
We're not. Yeah. We're not that bitter.
Viciously maimed, because I hate you.
Oh man, why are you hating on Cole above all others?
Well,
why not Jason Witten? How the fuck is he still catching passes?
It's not that so much that he caught a pass; it's that he outran Will Compton. How does it? I think
he's always been a speedy little bastard.
Yeah,
though.
but Jason Witten, first of all, is not little, and second of all, he's 102 years old.
No, I thought you were talking about Beasley.
No, I meant Witten outran Will Compton.
Oh, well then, yeah.
How do you get outrun by Jason Witten? He's 190 years old. He's slower than Frankenstein. He can catch the ball.
He's really
he's a
slow
future
these
Hall
days.
of Famer, all of that. But I mean, that's humiliating. You get outrun by Jason.
Who
Witten.
wins in a dead sprint, Witten or Davis?
Oh, Davis.
Dead
Davis
sprint down the sideline.
Oh,
By a mile.
Davis will still win the
yeah.
sprint. Yeah,
Davis
Davis,
is
you think
slow.
so?
He's just not what he used to be. Jason Witten is slow.
I don't know. He looked pretty. He actually turned on the Jets on that his one reception today. It was whatever 38 yards or 32 yards, whatever it was. But yeah, I mean, he's pretty slow. Let's not give him too much credit.
He still
Anyways,
has enough speed to count.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess there's that. So, well, anyways, is that all we have on this game? Should we put a bow on this one? Get ready to move on with
Anyone
positive
have
thoughts?
Any closing thoughts for the day?
It was a miserable day. Miserable
It wasn't
watching
a good
it
one.
with a whole bunch of cheering Dallas fans. Let's hope for a win next week.
You did that to yourself.
That's the
man.
only way I could watch the game.
Okay, so I did this last loss, and I'm going to stick with it. What Kirk's next contract will be. Last week I said it's down to $16 million a year. I think this loss is all on Kirk, so I'm going to say he's down to like $10 million a year.
It's all on Kirk.
10
That's harsh,
million.
man.
Oh yeah. This was. I think if you went back and looked at it, Kirk lost us this game more than anybody else.
I think he was one of the
more than
prime
anyone else.
contributors for sure. I mean, he missed 2 touchdown throws on deep balls. He threw the game-killing interception. Certainly, he shares
Countless first downs.
Yeah, countless first downs. He shares a.
He was terrible the first half.
Yes, he shares a great bit of the blame. I'm curious to see if Jay Gruden blames him in public.
You weren't listening. Jay Gruden called him out at halftime, apparently.
Did he really?
Uh-huh.
What did he say?
Plot thickens.
He said, the game isn't that hard. Kirk needs to play better.
Wow.
That's such a sarcastic, dickheaded thing to say. I love that.
It says the guy sitting on the sidelines.
Yeah, it's not hard, Kirk. Jesus, Kirk, it's not hard.
You're playing quarterback, not hard.
Jesus, dude.
It is hard.
Do your job.
Yeah. But he wasn't good. I mean, listen,
Well,
I think that's if you want to sum up the season, so far at the bow, it's that the primary main point is that we've seen 2 games of bad Kirk.
Yeah. Yep.
And against 2 defenses that frankly weren't that special. Pittsburgh's offense special, elite, yes. But their defense sucked rocks last year and was okay this year. Dallas's defense, okay, maybe they're less against the run and better against the pass, as Sean pointed out.
Right.
But it's not a good.
We still had opportunity.
It's not a great defense, and Kirk has played badly 2 games in a row.
Yeah, it's a missed fucking opportunity.
Yep.
All right. Well, on that note, we'll move right on to next week. Next week, not mathematically or statistically a must-win by any means, but Jesus, it would be nice.
Oh, you gotta forget,
because they better start
You can't get out of here
out
of this game without pointing out that Josh Doxson had his first decent reception of the year. He had a great deep ball.
There you go, Josh.
So
did we not say that?
No, we didn't.
I thought we did say that.
I thought we talked about. We
had the missed.
We mentioned Doxson.
We had the missed fade, all that. But he had one reception for like 8 yards or something last week. But that was his first big contributing play.
Right.
So sorry about that. Go ahead, Sean.
Oh, first of many to come. Let's hope. Keep playing like that because we're going to need you next week against New York. Much more on that coming in the game preview. We'll hit you with that, I think, probably around Thursday. But, don't hold me to that. There could be a hurricane or something. Anyways, get your free Norman shirt there on thehogstad.com. Check it out. #free Norman. And in the meantime, we'll see you next week. Take care.
Hail.